The meeting ended 2 hours ago. You're home, and you're still in that room. You keep replaying the exact moment your manager asked the question, and you answered in front of everyone. The words you chose, the pause before you spoke, the expression on your colleague's face right after. You've run it back a dozen times, and no matter how many times you replay it, you still can't decide. Did you come across as wrong or just too eager? The conversation is over. Everyone else has moved on. Your brain didn't get the memo. This video is about why that loop exists, why it won't close on its own, and what you can actually do about it. Most people assume the replay is useful, that it's the brain doing honest analysis, learning from the mistake, that if you run it back one more time, you'll finally figure out what went wrong. But that's not what's happening. And understanding the difference changes how you handle the loop. There's a name for this mechanism. Researchers call it post-event processing, PEP for short. Post-event processing is what happens when the brain treats a finished social situation as if it were still an open threat. Instead of filing the memory away, it keeps the case open, reconstructing the scene over and over, searching for what went wrong. The model was described by researchers Clark and Wells in 1995 and has been studied extensively since. It's not a personality flaw, it's a cognitive process. The same function that can help us learn from genuine social mistakes may get stuck running long after there's anything left to learn. Here's why. Humans are social animals. A damaged reputation or being seen as incompetent used to carry real costs. So the brain developed a review system. After a social event, it scans the memory for anything that could have hurt your standing. In theory, useful. In practice, the review doesn't always know when to stop, especially when it can't confirm whether the threat actually landed. Your brain is not trying to punish you. It's trying to protect you from a danger that has already passed. But here's where it gets more complicated. The replay isn't a neutral recording. Research suggests it's being edited every time it runs. A 2010 study found that people high in social anxiety tended to recall negative feedback as worse than it had actually been, and positive feedback was diminished in memory over time. So the memory you're replaying may not be a fair account of what happened. It can be a distorted version that gets a little more negative each time it runs. That's why the moment often feels bigger in your head than it was in the room. The loop isn't showing you reality, it may be showing you a worst-case reconstruction. You've probably felt this in a different form. You send a message, and 30 seconds later, you read it back. Then again, not for typos, you're checking for tone, for how it might have landed. The message hasn't changed, but your anxiety about it likely has, and it's probably gotten worse, not better. That's the digital version of the same loop. The text is always there to reopen, so the brain never gets a natural stopping point. Now here's the question most people don't think to ask. What is this replay actually doing to your next conversation? The loop doesn't stay contained to the past. Each cycle can make the threat feel more real and more present. So you may walk into tomorrow's meeting carrying the anxiety from today's replay, not from today's actual event. Research suggests post-event processing is a significant predictor of social anxiety, not just a symptom of it. The loop can feed the next loop. You think you're analyzing the past? You may be building pressure for the future. So why doesn't the loop just stop? Because the brain's review system is looking for resolution, some signal that the threat has been assessed and handled. But since the event is over, there's no new information coming in, no feedback, no confirmation. So the loop keeps running, waiting for data that will never arrive. Telling yourself to stop thinking about it often doesn't work either. Suppression tends to increase intrusive thoughts in the short term. What can help is giving the brain the closure signal it's searching for, not through more replay, but through a different kind of processing. One approach, write down what happened in plain, factual language. No interpretations, no guesses about what the other person thought. Just the facts. My manager asked a question. I gave an answer. The meeting continued. Then close the notebook. You're giving the brain a concrete endpoint, something the open loop has never had. It also helps to distinguish two types of mental review. One is productive. You identify one specific thing you'd change and how you'd handle it differently. The other is the loop. Same moment, repeated. No new conclusion. One useful rule of thumb, one pass, one takeaway, close. If you can't name a single concrete thing you learned after the first full review, more replays are unlikely to help. A few important limitations. Post-event processing exists on a spectrum. Most people experience it occasionally. It tends to become a problem when it's frequent, prolonged, and starts affecting daily functioning. And these are practical starting points, not clinical treatments. If the loop is severe or persistent, speaking with a professional is a real option worth considering. Here's the reframe that matters. The loop isn't a sign that something is broken in you. It's a sign that your brain takes your social world seriously. You're not replaying because you lack confidence. You're replaying because the review system doesn't have a built-in off switch, and now you understand why. Tonight, if the loop starts, write one factual sentence about what happened. No feelings, no guesses. Then close it. One sentence. One close. See if it shifts anything. If this landed, subscribe. There's more on exactly this kind of thing.